Coming up at 6, criticism for child protection workers after a toddler was raped by this nursery worker. Hello and welcome to ITV News Central. Tonight's main stories. Ofsted and child protection workers are criticised after they missed pointers about a nursery worker who raped a toddler.
Lax management, poor attention to safeguarding and an attitude to adults which listen to the adult rather than the child.
1 week to go till Birmingham's busy traffic routes reopen. Is there light at the end of the tunnels?
1,700 athletes, 12 sports, 5 days. We meet the Midlanders taking part in the Special Olympics.
And from Solihull to the States, the wild card entry making his mark at the US Open.
Good evening. A paedophile who repeatedly raped a toddler at a nursery where he worked was able to stay undiscovered by exploiting weaknesses in the system. That's the finding of a serious case review set up after he was jailed for life.
The review found gaping holes in the exchange of information between the nursery and agencies whose job it is to oversee child welfare. Andy Bevan has been examining the details.
On a January morning 2.5 years ago, parents turning up to drop their children off at Little Stars Day Nursery in Nechells in Birmingham were met by police officers who told them a staff member had been arrested on suspicion of child sex offences. Days later, detectives charged then 20-year-old nursery worker Paul Wilson with 43 offences, including, on at least 2 occasions, the rape of a toddler. Wilson later admitted his crimes and told a court he'd filmed the attacks on his mobile phone and copied them onto his home computer. When he was given his job at the nursery in 2009, Paul Wilson was studying for a diploma in childcare. His mother had managed Little Stars for a time, but wasn't in charge when he was hired. The chair of the serious case review carried out by the Birmingham Safeguarding Children Board in the light of what happened puts the majority of the blame onto Wilson himself,
who was clever, duplicitous and very manipulative and was able to manipulate the system and exploit the weaknesses in the nursery for his own ends.
Wilson was caught almost by accident. He'd been grooming girls as young as 12 in internet chat rooms from his home, persuading them to perform lewd acts on their webcams, which he recorded and then used to blackmail them into doing more and more. One victim, voiced by an actress, told ITV News how he'd ruined her life.
He'd say, well, if you don't do something else, then I'll send this around your email. And I was just really scared, and it became like I felt I had to do what he said.
His victims were spread across the entire country. 23 were cited in court, but police thought there were probably many more. One finally complained, and a trace of his email address led police to Wilson's Birmingham home. When they searched his PC, they found the rape videos. The serious case review also found a series of errors by a variety of agencies who it says could or should have spotted the signs that Wilson was a potential child abuser. In November 2009, a placement student at the nursery complained to her college that Wilson was showing far too much attention to one particular child. That was passed on via Birmingham City Council, but brushed aside by the nursery itself. In August 2010, Ofsted received an anonymous complaint from a staff member and passed it on to the council, who visited but found nothing untoward. They didn't speak to either Wilson or the child concerned. At the same time, police were getting that complaint from the internet teenager. They traced Wilson's email and located his home address, but didn't search it until January 2011, 5 months later.
I think what was to blame was lax management, poor attention to safeguarding and an attitude to adults which listen to the adult rather than the child.
This afternoon, a coalition of children's charities called for the failure to report suspected child abuse to be made a criminal offence.
Where management doesn't take those concerns or inspecting bodies don't appear to thoroughly investigate those concerns, then abuse has the opportunity to flourish, and therefore people like Paul Wilson can exploit those weaknesses.
Paul Wilson is now serving a life sentence with a minimum term of 13.5 years. His victims, meanwhile, face a potential lifetime of trauma. Andy Bevan, ITV News.
A 3-year-old boy from Leicester has died in Spain. Shay Colford was found floating in a swimming pool at a villa in a village near Malaga. Shay's great-grandmother described him as a lovely little boy and said his parents will return home once his body has been released.
Engineers and transport bosses say a project to refurbish road tunnels which carry one of the busiest commuter routes in the country has been a success.
The St Chad's and Queensway tunnels in Birmingham are on course to reopen next week, with the 6-week closure causing less disruption than many feared. Callum Watkinson reports.
Balancing the need to fix these tunnels with the convenience of motorists has meant a lot of hard work for the teams on the ground here. But it's been a walk in the park for whoever has been staffing the complaints line.
We've got a dedicated hotline set up for people to make their comments or to inquire about the scheme. We've had less than 20 phone calls, which I think is an indication of the success of the preparation for the scheme. But also we've had other authorities contact us looking at the good practice that we've developed in traffic modelling.
Fireproofing has been mixed up and sprayed on. LED lighting put up and wired in. Some sections of wall have been taken down to create new safety gates. And the concrete arches between the two bores have been filled in. Hundreds have laboured round the clock and covered themselves in glory, according to the boss, who claims the tweaks they've made to traffic control will make moving around easier for all of us, even after the tunnels open.
The programme's gone really well. Everybody's worked well together. We've made minor changes around the network, timing on the lights, minor road markings and things like that, and new pedestrian crossings we put in. And basically some of those things that we've implemented will probably remain in place because they work really well.
So you've actually managed to improve the general traffic flow around the city by doing this work?
Yeah.
So it looks like this project is sure to finish on time and within budget, and the chaos that many commuters feared simply hasn't materialised. That's been largely due to careful planning and meticulous traffic management. And with just a week to go, the end is now in sight for these workmen. Callum Watkinson, ITV News, Birmingham.
And you can see more exclusive pictures of how the Birmingham tunnel work is progressing on our website at itv.com/central.
Meanwhile, the Institute of Directors has joined those calling for HS2 plans to be scrapped. They say the high-speed rail line, which would cut the journey time between Birmingham and London to 50 minutes, is a grand folly. HS2 has argued the new rail line would create thousands of jobs.
Is this the best way for the money to be spent? And our members, although there are some who think it's a good thing, overwhelmingly say it's going to make no difference at all to their business productivity, and that's a big factor.
Plans to extract methane gas from unmined coal reserves are being considered by Stoke-on-Trent City Council. Experts from Keele University are looking into exploiting local reserves. It says drilling for the gas could create thousands of jobs and provide energy security for homes and businesses in Staffordshire. This tile-making firm in Stoke already uses methane in its manufacturing process. Councillors will discuss the proposals next week.
This is very important to Johnson's as a major energy user. The supply of gas for us will help, hopefully, to reduce the costs and make the supply of gas and the price of gas less volatile.
You're watching ITV News Central. Still to come. Game set and match for the tennis player from Solihull at one of the world's biggest Grand Slams.
Counting down to the Special Olympics with the athletes who'll be taking centre stage.
And find out what's in store with the weather this week. Will we see any more sunshine? The details coming up.
A father who had to fly to Thailand to rescue his son, who'd been taken without permission by his ex-wife, is calling on the government to do more to intervene in cases of abduction.
Yes, Sean Felton from Cannock in Staffordshire believes only political pressure can achieve the vital breakthrough for parents seeking to be reunited with their children thousands of miles from home. Our correspondent Alison McKenzie reports.
The end of a 100-mile-plus walk from the Midlands to Downing Street to raise awareness of the pain of being the parent of an abducted child. Sean Felton from Cannock was reunited with son Job after a battle with the authorities in Thailand, where his ex-wife had taken the child without permission.
They can't do health checks on the child. You don't know whether the child's alive. You don't know whether the child's, what the child is doing. And we're just asking the government to be more proactive in helping parents whose children are missing.
The Foreign Office does have teams who help in abduction cases, but it's difficult when the countries are not signed up to a reciprocal agreement. The biggest challenge for parents is when the abducted children have been taken to countries who haven't signed up to what's known as the Hague Convention. That means there's no agreement between Britain and the other states to pursue the case. It leaves the parents frustrated.
With the increase in child abduction, it's a massive problem, and instead of, the children shouldn't be leaving the UK, children shouldn't be being abducted, and parents shouldn't be left on the side to try and get them children back on their own. We want the government to really look into the cases and really, help parents.
Sean had to raise thousands of pounds to fund the rescue mission he undertook to find his own son. He set up the charity Abducted Angels. He walked all the way from Staffordshire to Downing Street. He has the backing of his local MP.
He's had a happy ending, but I think what he's done today is to highlight this cause. There's many other parents who haven't had that happy ending in the UK, and we're tremendously proud of what he's done. He's walked 175 miles all the way from Cannock down to Westminster to highlight the plight of abducted children. I'm just very proud to support him in raising awareness of this terrible issue.
Sean says his own success has encouraged him to reach out to help others. Alison Mackenzie at Westminster for ITV News.
Still to come on ITV News Central. Recognise these wheels? The old motor's making lots of new fans.
First though, let's catch up with the day's sports news.
Yes, and we start with football, and Notts County are looking to create one of the biggest cup upsets in recent times when they take on Liverpool at Anfield tonight.
The Capital Cup, also known as the League Cup, has often seen the biggest teams field weaker sides in recent years. But Liverpool insist they won't be doing County any such favours, as our sports correspondent Steve Clamp reports.
They are leagues apart. Notts County sit 62 places below Liverpool. And tonight, they don't even have the comfort of Meadow Lane. So what chance of a cup upset at Anfield?
We don't want to go down there and just say that we're not going to win. It'll be very difficult. But other teams have gone there and got a result on the day. But whatever team they put out, they'll have a good team out. But I'll be going there and we'll be trying our hardest to get a result on the day.
A tough trip on any occasion, but right now, form suggests it'll be more difficult than ever. County lost against Stevenage at the weekend. 4 games in and still no league win. Liverpool, on the other hand, have won both of their opening Premier League games. The latest victory, a 1-0 defeat of Aston Villa. But for a side like Liverpool, where Premier League and its entry to Europe is on offer, is a Capital Cup match with Notts County to be taken seriously.
With our focus and concentration at the moment and the confidence that we have, as I said, we don't underestimate anyone, but it's our job to get into the next round, and that's what we aim to do.
Certainly the buzz of facing Liverpool was clear to see at Meadow Lane. It seems everyone here will be watching the game.
It'll be a close game. I'm under no illusion that we could get knocked out today.
They've got reputation to keep. We ain't got no to lose. After Saturday's performance, who knows?
I'd like to go, and like I would think it will go. We had 2 different things, but I don't think they'll do very well, actually.
Victory isn't impossible, of course, but the last time Notts County beat Liverpool, a little-known singer called Elvis Presley had just had his first hit. And that was here in Nottingham. For a victory in Liverpool, we have to go back to 1902. That's 8 years before my great-granddad signed for County. If he was here now, he'd be cheering for a massive cup upset. Steve Clamp, ITV News, Nottingham.
That's a lot of information to digest, isn't it? We'll have to ask Steve about that. Now, a tennis player from Birmingham who's ranked 179th in the world is celebrating beating the 11th seed in the first round of the US Open.
Yes, Dan Evans toppled Kai Nishikori in straight sets at Flushing Meadows yesterday. The 23-year-old's low ranking meant he only got into the tournament because other players withdrew. Even so, his dad says Dan's taking the win in his stride.
Even his celebrations were a bit muted, but underneath he's going mad, and he should do. He's done very, very well. Me and lots of previous coaches who've tried to advise him over the years, he's not always listened, but hopefully he's turned that corner and he's listening.
It certainly is. Now, thousands of athletes from across the Midlands are preparing to take part in the biggest disability sports event of the year. The Special Olympics get underway tomorrow in Bath.
Yes, they were last held in Leicester 4 years ago, and Rajiv Popat has been speaking to some of those who are hoping to bring home some medals.
It's the biggest disability sports event of the year. 1,700 athletes are ready to take part in 12 sports, including athletics, badminton and tennis. Matthew Chilvers first picked up a racket at the age of 5 and he's been playing ever since. He trains at the Desford Tennis Club 3 times a week and can't wait to serve up an ace.
It's going to be hard because I've been moved to groups, but I'm just going to try and see what I get. I know the matches, but hopefully I'll get a medal, but just going to try my best.
And Usain Bolt, watch out. Athletes who train at the Saffron Lane Sports Stadium in Leicester are going for gold.
It's a dream come true for me, you know what I mean, because my chance now, not going to blow it, not going to blow it.
You're not going to blow it?
I'm not going to blow it, I'm not going to muck it up, I promise.
Are you going to break some records?
Well, that is a good question, for me, I will try and break some records. I'll try to. If I can, then that will be brilliant. Brilliant for me, mainly,
For those taking part, the games are more than just an opportunity to compete. There are countless benefits which have nothing to do with breaking into a sweat.
They learn to interact, get on with their peers, get on. They're all treated as equals. They enjoy it. They enjoy this independence. It's an escape, perhaps as well. The world's not always kind to them.
There was a grand opening at the last Special Olympics in Leicester in 2009. This time the Games are in Bath. These gymnasts in Northampton will be competing in the rhythmic competition, a combination of gymnastics and dance. They won 4 gold medals in the qualifying stages last year.
I've been doing it for 5 to 6 years. It means to me so much that I feel better because of it.
It's a fantastic thing for them. It means they can show their skills to hundreds of people, thousands of people that are watching. It's the highest level that they've got, so it's a really important thing for them. It's what they aim for every 4 years, to make it to the Special Olympic Games.
And over at the Leicester Lees Gymnastics Club, the final preparations are going well.
My training's gone pretty well and I can't wait till I get out there and compete. It feels like a normal competition to me, really. I just think of it like that because I don't get nervous in normal competitions.
I'm really looking forward to it because I've got friends and I'm going to meet some new as well.
Making a splash is something these swimmers do rather well. Come rain or shine, they train every week at Stetchford in Birmingham.
I'm really looking forward to it. I watched the Paralympics just in London last year. I watched the Paralympics and it's really good and I love this sport and I really do and I'm really going to enjoy it.
It means the world to me. Without Special Olympics I wouldn't be the confident person I am today, and Special Olympics has helped me to come on. Without Special Olympics I wouldn't have to tumble, turn, dive, do the breaststroke.
The Special Olympics clock is ticking away. Tomorrow they'll be competing and cheering, but more than anything, they'll be having fun.
Well done, well done, well done.
it certainly was a great set of games in Leicester 4 years ago, and we'll have more on the Special Olympics in the next few days. Meantime, though, the ITV News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Britain's military draws up plans for action against Syria as the Prime Minister recalls Parliament on Thursday. MPs will gather to vote on how to respond to last week's chemical attack. The US Defence Secretary says they are ready to go. The controversial badger cull begins despite claims that it won't help fight TB in cattle. And HS2, the business leaders who say it's nothing but a grand folly. Join us, Stuart and me, for that and more at 6:30.
A group of young people from the Midlands have gone on a holiday with a difference. They took to our waterways with their youth group to learn how to live aboard a canal boat.
Yes, it meant learning how to steer, open locks and cook. But it was mostly about the teamwork, as Emma Burrows reports.
This trip is about giving youngsters the confidence to achieve, and some of them already have so much they can't wait to take control, despite only being on the boat for a few minutes. All 70 feet of it.
Right, you go left, and if you go left, you go right. It's the opposite when you're steering the boat.
Canals are something many of these children would simply walk past, but for 3 days they're taking to our waterways, travelling part of the Warwickshire Ring canal system, and it's something none of them has ever done before.
So it's a different experience for them. Like I said, it's away from the city, it's just something totally different. It's their own independence really, and learning to work as a team.
Stops from getting into trouble, isn't it? Good to get me out of the house. My mum's going to be a good experience. Who's cooking first out of all of us?
Me, I'm the best cook here. Say nothing.
I can't cook.
Nah, you always will.
Can you cook? I can cook a bit. Yeah. I can cook like chicken and rice and all that. You have to wash the chicken with lemon and vinegar first and all that.
Hey, where are we now? Ladywood.
This is one of 3 groups who will be travelling 105 miles through 119 locks.
Wait till the gate shuts. We have to work as a team. It's interesting, and it's like you don't get the opportunity to do it all the time.
For some of these children, it's the first time they've been away from home and they don't have all their creature comforts.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight squeeze. This is where we're sleeping, this is our beds, this is the storage space for clothes and all our luggage. This is our bathroom.
Within just a few locks, they were acting like old hands.
Wait!
If it was inspiration they were looking for, it looks like they found it. Emma Burrows for ITV News on the L&G narrowboat.
Well, those lads are really putting us to work. Now, last week we had Lucy on board, and she seemed to spend most of the time just sort of draped around the place.
She's working on the tan, I think.
Talking of which, let's get some weather now, and here is indeed Lucy Kite.
A few days of sun. You got to be prepared.
Oh, I'm ready.
Hello, well, a gorgeous picture taken by Terry Eyre in the Staffordshire moorlands. Thank you very much for that. Lots of blue sky there. Not that much to look forward to as we head through the next few days, but we will see a little bit of sunshine. This evening, while the cloud has been building, this is the satellite picture from earlier. You can see we've got rather a lot of clouds sitting across our region. Potentially a few showers as well as we head through the next couple of hours, but they will die away as the sun goes down. Now, eastern parts of our region, well, we might just catch one or two mist and fog patches, and it's going to be generally quite cloudy everywhere. Temperatures won't dip too low though, lows of 12 degrees Celsius, a fairly mild night. So tomorrow morning, well, the sun will get to work fairly quickly, burning away any mist and fog patches and breaking through the clouds, but there will be more in the way of cloud compared to today. Temperatures tomorrow, well, similar values to today really, highs of 21 or 22 degrees Celsius, so above the seasonal average, feeling nice in any sunny spells, and then it all goes a little bit wrong as we move into Thursday and Friday with more cloud and a few spots of drizzle as well. Have a nice evening.
Flybe, sponsors of ITV Central Weather.
Well, just before we go, listen to this motoring lineup. Let's have a look at it now. There's the Batmobile, the A-Team van, Herbie, Del Boy's three-wheeler, and Bond's DB5. That's quite a lineup from all the TV and film.
Yes, it sounds like the Central Boys wish list as well, doesn't it? Yeah. But it wasn't actually a dream today. It was all real because they were lined up with adoring audiences at the Cube in Birmingham. And it's all part of raising money for the city's children's hospital. Certainly looks like those behind the wheel were getting their mileage worth.
We fundraise ourselves, we've raised nearly £200,000. We've seen the impact that's had. Without things like this, then people like Poppy wouldn't be here today, so it's really important.
Yeah. My personal favourite's the Trotters three-wheeler, actually. That's quite cool, but the Batmobile seems to be getting quite a bit of attention.
There's loads of cars. I mean, I think my personal favourite is the car from Herbie. It's just fantastic that there's so many different cars down here from everyone's childhood that we can all gather around and take photos from.
With Boss Hog. Can I have a go in it?
Of course you can.
Roscoe Pico time. This is so cool.
So cool indeed.
Should have given her the keys. She must have been ready to go.
That's right. We indeed are on our way. We'll be back tomorrow at the usual time of 6 o'clock. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.